I've had a lot of people tell me how good the Drum Bus plugin within Live Suite is. Now, I don't have Suite, I've just got Lite, which means I've only got these effects to call from. So what I did was, wanted to create something that I could put on my Drum Bus that would do something similar, purely experimenting with the stock plugins that come with Live Lite, because I think they're pretty impressive as it is. So to show you how that works, I've got a drum loop here, and I've got some 808 kicks that I've layered underneath the kicks within the drum loop. So this is what that sounds like. By no means shabby, but I've introduced my little effect track on the top there. So this is what it sounds like if I initiate that. So the effect is obviously quite apparent, and the settings are accentuating that, and I'll go through those now. So I have a series of things that these are kind of hiding behind. We've got macroed out 8 dials that I feel give us access to the most useful of those, but behind them all are these things here. So I'm going to go through each one in turn just to explain what exactly it is that they're doing. I'm going to leave the limiter on last, so it's purely just a brick wall compressor so that nothing goes crazy and I don't damage anybody's speakers or anything. Some of the levels could get a little bit loud, so I'm going to leave that one on to make sure that I don't do anything. Now, first one. That's purely with the first bit reduction and then the compressor on. So the bit reduction, I put it down at 12 because the samplers that I kind of grew up using initially were 12-bit samplers, and I kind of get used to the sound that introduces a bit of a ring to it. So I've got the bit depth and I've got the sample rate. So I'm going to drop the sample rate a little bit there. Obviously it can get very extreme if you want, but I just wanted to get it to the point where the sample has that degradation to it, that little bit of a ring to it. Okay, that's fine. Next in the chain is a low pass filter. Now I've got out the filter frequency and the resonance amount, and I've also got the drive amount, so we can use that. Because we don't have saturation to play with, I can use the drive along with the compressor and introduce a form of saturation that gives you quite a pleasing sort of overdrive feel, if that's what you're looking for. It can completely cook it very quickly, so it's one of those that you kind of got to be a bit careful with. Now the drive's there, obviously we can really push that. Depends what sound you're going for, obviously. Next up I've got noise. Now we've introduced some noise with the sample reduction, which creates some interesting harmonics. So we can accentuate those with this noise feature here. Obviously that's completely up to you, and different samples will yield different results. As it is, I've just got mapped those 3 here, so it just goes straight up from left to right. And a little diagonal there. Then following that we've got the high boost, so I've got some EQ to restore some of the high frequencies we rolled off here, which will then give you a little bit fuller track if that's what you want. Obviously you can use it to trim them as well as boost them, so that just controls the high EQ. Then lastly we've got the bass tamer, which is just purely because if I've got an 808 kick, which invariably I have, I don't want it to be in stereo, so I'm going to make that mono. Obviously it depends on what frequency I've got that set at. You can make the entire sample mono if you want. If you want a mono drum rack, that's totally understandable, and you can hit that there. It's literally just using the utility feature. And then obviously we've got that brick wall limiter at the end, so that's a really simple way of creating a little drum rack, but I thought some people might find that useful, and also it's quite an interesting exercise to play around with that kind of thing and see how easy it is and how powerful even just the effects we've got there can be when using them, you know, without anything else. So If you have Koala, if you're watching this because you've got Koala and you have access to a PC or a Mac, then you do have a Live Lite license. If you go to the settings within Koala on your iOS device or your Android device, then you can get your Live Lite license, install it on a PC or a Mac, and then download this in the description and have fun with it. Hope it's useful.